The reason why I started content creation as well is because one, I saw a lot of people doing it. I'm like, okay, I can actually put a bit of meaning behind it. I can actually do some good stuff here, and I believe I can do a better
Yeah.
job than these people. And then, secondly, I didn't want to go to university, and I remember I had my awakening at the end of 2021, going into 2022.
When did you decide to start making content? When was that?
Well, I actually started content about a year ago.
Okay.
You can look it up in your off time. It's called Herc McGlurk. It's a weird name, but what we did, me and a few mates last year, we did like interviews, like street interviews, and we did our first ever stream, or sorry, our first ever video was "Save the Children," which was right like a pretty controversial topic, and what it was about was alphabet community, if you want to call it that, getting pushed through the educational system and all these religious groups. You had Jews there, you had Muslims, you had Christians. There's a couple hundred of them all together protesting through the main streets of Sydney City, CBD.
Oh wow.
And basically, they were fed up with what was going on, and they went straight outside the educational, what is it, the educational headquarters. I don't know I can't remember the term that we call it, but basically where all the head honchos of New South Wales, which is the state I am, educational system, like the bosses, you can say, the people that you need to talk to
Like
about
a
these
board?
things. Yeah, like a board, yeah. So anyway, they stormed me there. Police were there. Obviously, they stopped the group from going from there. We interviewed a few people. It was quite interesting, and we started doing that. And I started with the style because back then, funny enough, you look at now compared to last year, censorship is a lot worse, man. A lot worse.
Yeah.
Back then, bro, I kid you not, trajectory that we were going on was insane. Like it was bound to do good.
100%, bro. I was
Um,
actually getting a tangent right before, like in between our calls about how Elon Musk and Chris Pavlovsky basically saved the world.
Yeah, they did because censorship's crazy on Meta and YouTube. It's insane. But back to what I was saying. So we did that, and then after that, we're like, okay, we had to look at the market. A lot of people doing red pill and sort of relationship comments. So all we do, we go around, ask chicks, speak to guys, blah blah blah, ask their opinion on it. And it got a bit stale because, to be honest, it wasn't really what I was doing. And then anyway, one of our final videos was the voice, the referendum. So what was happening in Australia? We had a referendum, basically, that was getting proposed where the Indigenous people, Aboriginals, would have their own sort of representation party in slash body in Parliament, which would be a third entity. So you have the main two parties, Labor and Liberal, which Liberal for us is right wing, Labor's left.
Okay.
Um, and you have this third body, that'd be a representation. Basically, what happened if it got through is Labor would be able to use that third entity to basically have a monopoly when it comes to votes, policies, whatever it may be. So
Oh,
and they fake virtue signaled this, and they use basically billions of our dollars to fund all this. And it didn't go through. That was the first time I saw Australia in probably the last 12 years have any sort of unity because we didn't allow it to happen.
wow.
The issue was,
Wow.
which I'm happy to talk about with you, is
Yeah.
our generation. The issue was, which pretty much like 90% of our generation either drawed random shit on the back of the paper when they handed in their vote, or they just handed it in blank, so they didn't care. Or a couple of them voted for it. And a lot of the people that were pushing this and protesting and all that were the young white people. They weren't even indigenous or white. And that's the crazy part, is that majority of the boomers basically saved our country from that. And the other thing too, which was quite interesting, I actually interviewed a half-caste Aboriginal about this, which he was on the vote no, and I knew him prior to Save the Children protests. He was there, so that was a really good interview. And at that time, I copped a lot of heat from a lot of different people doing
I
it.
bet.
A lot of different
That's
people.
like a very big thing for your
Yeah.
country.
Yeah, it is. Copped a lot of heat, and you gotta understand if it went bust, bro. You know the labels I would have got racist, this, that, and the other. The reason why I started content creation as well is because one, I saw a lot of people doing it. I'm like, okay, I can actually put a bit of meaning behind it. I can actually do some good stuff here, and I believe I can do a better
Yeah.
job than these people. And then, secondly, I didn't want to go to university. And I remember I had my awakening at the end of 2021 going into 2022. So all this is happening, and we have a test called the HSC exams, which basically gives us a score to go to university. And depending how well you do in your exams and your assessments during that year, equates to where you're going to go. And I remember there was a couple of my mates that I still talk to, and a couple of mates that helped me with this. Well, one of my mates that helps me with this. We're talking to a couple other guys. We're all standing there, and we're like, well, this is all bullshit. We've dedicated 12 years of our lives for nothing.
Yep.
Why are we going into this test? What are we doing? And we all just sort of stood there, and we're like, well, you know what? We've been here this long. We'll just finish it off. And everyone that was in that conversation to this day never went to university. None of them. It was like,
I'm glad.
in total, it was about six of us. I know. To circle back, yeah, we all got in there. We're like, we're barely studied for this. I'm just thinking this fucking joke. I can't wait for my school to finish so I can just fuck off with this. I was over it. And we finished. Anyway, the rest of the puppets went to university. Blah blah blah. Started the YouTube stuff. Not a lot of people like the controversial stuff. A lot of people like the interviewing the chicks and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I don't mind interviewing women. I don't mind interviewing men and talking about relationship dynamics. That's cool, but there's got to be purpose behind it, which is why I started this narcissism thing. But I like that. I like to have conversations with people, open their mind to things, and bring more normies over here. I don't give a crap about this useless content. So that's why I started streaming about 3 months ago, was because I was over that, didn't have a sort of direction. I'm like, you know what, let's start streaming. And ever since then, I've been doing this.